Okay, everyone, here we are with a new update 1.96. Have some new items in store and some things to go over. So, here's what all was released. We have a new mine system. We've been talking about this one in game for some time, and it has come out. And we have new ways to do that. This is a huge change, so I'll do a video just on the mine system and how that's going to work and explain that a little bit further in detail, but know that this is where that has changed. It's not quite the same as it was in the past. And we have a new tower, the laser tower. Of course, it has a foil as well. Do not have that tower just yet to show that off, but we have the card. So here is the foil version. As you can see, it's just the 20% damage, and the regular version, of course, 20% less damage. So that's what it looks like in the card, and we'll get to play around with that hopefully soon. It is in a new event, so I hope to have that here shortly, and we'll show that off in another video as well. I have heard it's a bit smaller tower, and basically the way it works is it shoots in 4 different directions. And as you can read, it basically can be controlled in the game. So another tower with interactivity, and you can point it in different directions. So it's not going to chase each enemy. You have to manually point that. I do like the fact that it is area damage and hits different targets. So we'll get to try that out, see what that does, and see what we can grab out of that event. Also, the gears, amplifiers, emblems, hammers, all these things grabbed and use up some inventory space. We can now actually sell that. So if you click on the picture of any one of these items, you will now see the little button at the bottom. Just click those little 3 lines, and you can see you can actually sell that item now. You can also fuse lock it because it can be sold. Some bad button pressing if you happen to click on the item, then click on the picture, somehow click on that little item, and then click sell. But you can lock it in case you do that. Did have a mythic gear, so why not? I went ahead and locked it to make sure. The funny part is when you go to fuse that, you can't find it because it's locked. So don't forget to unlock it if that is the case. So we've got some rune indicators. Basically, the chance perimeter added up a little bit higher than it did, so that's been balanced. So along with this, you'll see all of the towers except for one. I'll let you figure out which one. The stun chance has changed on all of these in different ways. The Mermaid Tower, it was a 1% resistance per hit. It's now 5%, so it adds up much quicker. It wasn't insanely high. Not many things were able to get past a League Mermaid Tower, and for an epic, that did seem not sure from your guys' perspective, but I actually felt that was probably going to come at some point. It was a very strong tower. We have some other changes. The flaming cannon actually it was increased to 150%. I think it was a lower amount, like 60% perhaps. So it actually probably gained a bit from this decrease. I didn't use it that much, so I could be corrected on that, but it just seems more useful now. At least it's always going to get a first hit stun. I know a lot of bats would fly by because it would miss, and it fires so infrequently that it just didn't seem very worthwhile. At least you're guaranteed that first hit now. But of course, that resistance adds up quicker on just about all of these towers. The Flying Crusher, of course, the foil version has a stun. Didn't really matter. Not many of us used it for very long, as it is a new tower, so that is now what we have. The Christmas tree, I think it had a lower resistance. Pretty much everything now has a higher resistance, and so it doesn't get stunned as much. Now to balance that out, we're going to touch on this a little bit more in another video as well, but we have some new runes called the Yin Yang runes that increase the chance and the toughness or range depending on the slot. But all of these towers can basically be buffed right back and beyond what they were if you craft those runes. So that's some balancing that we have. So at least all of these towers have different uses. The funny thing I have seen with the Shiny Crest, because it is toughness and chance, is the hit points in that tower. They do get rather high now. It's kind of funny if you want to put it in that and see how high it goes. A couple of fixes as well. One thing that drove us crazy, the engineering and repairing tower. Yeah, that just didn't happen once you hit 90, much less below that. The fog tower, I know that one still annoys people, but once you have your aim tower or your prime injector high enough, you throw a curse in there. It's actually very doable. Just try to find mines that have a bunch of creeps, such as rats or bats or a bunch of small little things that it can kill quickly. Put a strong tower in the back behind them so they don't get through, but basically just try to kill them off in the first round or two. They're pretty weak. That's how you get through on the fog tower. At least it did finally work. You'll notice if you're 90 and your tower is not 90, you won't have that in the task. So if you're keeping up with that, don't get it to 90 if it really does worry you. But for the most part, that's being balanced out and shouldn't really be an issue anymore. The Wild Rider Night Queen. Now, before we could use them, and we had some very high percentages for the anomalies. When you add it all up, well, that's been changed. Two heroes doing the same thing didn't mesh too well. So basically, you can only have one of these on the ship at a time. Now, the Night Queen, she does have a easier to reach cap, being just a lower quality card of 50%. Rather easy to max out. If you watch an ad a day, in 10 days you could have one of these. So realistically, you could reach 7 out of 7 fairly quickly, especially if you already had 3 or 4 of them before you hit 90, because you could not get this card or craft the card before. So in essence, we now have a way around that through the legendary Wild Rider. And as you can see, I now have 10 out of 10 at level 74, so it's already 7% higher. I believe somewhere around count 5 at level 60, 65, I believe it was when she overtook the Night Queen. So if you're looking for that balance of when to go higher, that's where I found it. That's at 5 count. Of course, if you're a higher level, you're going to have a higher percent and can find it a different way, but that's where I changed it out. I did not notice the Sky Eye missile. I actually did some videos with Sky Eye, so perhaps that was in there and it didn't even notice it, but didn't seem to have that bug. Other issues with Assault, so we'll see if that gets fixed. Now, along with this one, there were some bugs in the event with the resources. With the mine change, we pushed ourselves pretty hard in the season to get the mines as high as we could go, and some of those mines at the same level were impossible. I think at least half of mine, maybe a bit more, I could not retake. Just could not do it. So basically the way it was going to work was once you took it once, you could go lower if you needed to, but you had to beat it once. That was, like I said, impossible in some of these. So we had a hot fix shortly after. That now gave us that ability that we could change the enemy even if you could not take the mine. And there we have it. Now we can actually all take our mines, and we've got the new way to play them with take the same one back if you want to revenge. If it has all the creeps, the map layout you like, you can keep it, or you can take a different one if you'd prefer, if that one has too many things you do not like. So it gives you the option on the mine. You have a bit more control. It's not just the same person, or waiting and searching and getting stuck with some of the same players and having an inactive mine, or being stuck where you're overpowered and you don't get the resource. You always get the resource now. of the mine that you have. So this update hotfix allowed us to actually get those resources so that we can actually have a bit more control on what we're having. Same thing as some of those did have freezing issues. They fixed that. So good job of getting to that within a few days, or even over and counting the weekend. So we're happy to see that, and it's all playing through. And on the mine aspect of it, we're going to see how that works, and I'll make a video covering how that goes through. So there we have it, and hopefully you enjoy this 196 update, and see you in the game.